तद्वयम् श्रीमद्वीररघुत्वहाद्यषडजित्पादारविन्दाश्रयम् श्रीमद्वेदवतं सदेशिकयतेः कारुण्यवीक्षास्पदम् सेवे रङ्गधुरीणशासनवशं नारायणं योगिनं वेदान्तदेशिकेतीशकटाक्षलब्धत्रय्यन्तसारम् अनवद्यगुणं बुधाग्र्यं नारायणाद्ययति धुर्यकृपाभिषिक्तं श्रीरङ्गनाथयतिशेखरमाश्रयामः। श्रीमते श्रीवंशटकोप श्रीवेदान्तदेशिकेतीन्द्रमहादेशिकाय नमः। श्रीमते श्रीलक्ष्मीनृसिंहदिव्यपादुकासेवक श्रीवंशटकोप श्रीनारायणयतीन्द्रमहादेशिकाय नमः। श्रीमते श्रीवंशटकोप श्रीरङ्गनाथयतीन्द्रमहादेशिकाय नमः. Welcome again, everyone. Thank you for making it to yet another Saturday Shri Ahobilamat story session. As you can see from the title page that you already have on your screens, the topic for our conversation, our discussion today is going to be this rather famous piece of work that is called the Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam. Now, before I start talking about Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam, let me ask you: how many of you have heard about this? How many of you know what this is about? How many of you have sort of talked about this before with your parents, or have heard it somewhere else in your classes and so on? Is there anyone who knows about this? Okay, nobody, right? Okay, that's fine, no problem. We will, I think part of the objective of talking about it today is for us to get familiar with it. What we will try to do is to try and understand what this piece of work is about. And there are lots of interesting things about it. So we will hopefully get to discuss quite a few of these things, okay? So what is this Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam? As I've said on the screen, literally taken, the meaning of the word Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam is something that a very wise lady, some wise words that a lady from Thirukkolur has passed down to us. Okay, so Thirukkolur is the name of a Divyadesham. Penpillai refers to a lady from Thirukkolur, and Rahasyam is basically something that she has passed on, something that is important that we all ought to know about. Another name for this Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam is also called Thirukkolur Ammal Varthaigal. So Thirukkolur Ammal meaning same thing, that a lady from Thirukkolur, and her Varthaigal meaning some very important piece of news, some very important things that she would like us to know, that she has left behind for posterity. Okay, so that is what we are going to talk about. Now, as always, we need to know who are the characters, where the story came from, why we are talking about it, and all those things, right? So the main characters in the story, of course, the Thirukkolur Penpillai Rahasyam is the name of a book, or the name of a piece of literature. But the story of how that piece of literature came about has two important characters. Okay, so the two characters that who play a role in how this piece of literature came about was the two people who you see on the screen. On the left, we have Sri Ramanuja Swami Bhagavad Bhashikara. He is one of the prominent characters in how this piece of literature came about. And of course, the author of this piece of work, who is this Thirukkolur Ammal, or Thirukkolur Penpillai, a lady who lived in the town of Thirukkolur. Okay, so those are the characters who played a part in this story. Now, obviously, we also need to know about the setting, right? The place of Thirukkolur. Okay, how many of you have heard about Thirukkolur? Anybody who has heard about Thirukkolur, you want to raise your hand? And
I have heard of Thirukkolur.
You've heard of Thirukkolur?
I have heard of Thirukkolur. Is from Thirukkolur.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Madhurakavi Alvar is from Thirukkolur. Excellent. Anything else you all know about Thirukkolur? Where is Thirukkolur? There's another very important Divyadesham that is very close to Thirukkolur. Do you know where, like geographically, do you know where Thirukkolur is?
Is it like in Tamil Nadu somewhere?
Yeah, it is in Tamil Nadu. That's right. That is very correct. But we need to be a little bit more specific than that. Yes.
Is it by? I thought it was by the Mannedi Perumal or something.
Sorry, if you don't mind, if you can speak again into the mic, I didn't hear you. My apologies.
Was it Vaida Mannadi?
Yeah, I think what you're telling us is the name of the Perumal there. His name is Vaitamanidhi. But to my question of geographically where Tirukkolur is, does anybody know where it is? So Tirukkolur is very close to Alvar Tirunagari. Okay, Alvar Tirunagari, it's in present day Tirunelveli district. Alvar Tirunagari is important because of what? What is Alvar Tirunagari famous for? Why is it important?
Adivan Pudugopan got his Hamsamudra and his
Yes, very good. Adivan Swami got Nammalvar's Anugraham in a very, very special way in Alvar Tirunagari. And Adivan Swami went to Alvar Tirunagari because of what? Because it is Swami Nammalvar's birthplace, right? Nammalvar lived there all his life. He lived there under a tree all his life. He did not move out of that one spot. And all the Perumals that he sang about, they came queuing up to Nammalvar saying, please sing about me, right? So, of course, it's not related to today's story, but that's the difference between the way Thirumangai Alvar sang about Perumal and the way Nammalvar sang about Perumal. Thirumangai Alvar went from place to place. He traveled across the length and breadth of the country to sing the praises of Perumal all the way from Badrikashram all the way to the south. Nammalvar did not move at all. All the Perumals came to him. And all of this happened in Alvar Tirunagari, okay? And Tirukkolur is very close to Alvar Tirunagari, okay? One more question. Tirukkolur, Alvar Tirunagari, there's a collection of Divyadesams around that place, right? How many of you have actually been there?
Is it in the Tirunelveli district?
It is in the Tirunelveli district, that's correct. Okay, good, excellent.
Is Tirukkurangudi and Ananthapadmanabha Swami Kovil near it?
Tirukkurangudi is sort of near it. I mean, it's not extremely. I mean, it's not as close as Alvar Tirunagari and Tirukkolur are. Tirukkurangudi is on the route, and if you go all the way, I think you're right. If you take the route from Alvar Tirunagari to Tirukkurangudi, you can go all the way to Thiruvananthapuram, where you can go to Ananthapadmanabha Swami temple. So they're not very far from each other, but they're not that close either. But the question I was going to ask you was, there's a cluster of Divyadesams near Alvar Tirunagari, right? And of which Tirukkolur is one of them, correct? How many of you know the name of that cluster of Divyadesams? What is the name that is given to those Divyadesams?
Navatirupati.
Excellent, very good. Navatirupati. Fantastic. Okay, so Navatirupati is the name of the cluster of Divyadesams. And what does it mean when you say Navatirupati? What does that mean? What does the word mean? So how many?
I think Nava means 9, right?
Excellent, Sriman. Very good. Okay. So Nava means 9. So basically Navatirupati means a place where Perumal resides, Divyadesham. So it is a cluster of 9 Divyadeshams, which are very close to Swami Nammalvar's birthplace. Nammalvar has sung all of those Perumals. Each of those Perumals has their own significance with Nammalvar, and it's a unique experience to go from one town to the other, thinking about Swami Nammalvar and his experiences there. So any of you who has not yet had the chance to go and have the darshan of...
I think I've been to Alvar Tirunagari.
You've been to Alvar Tirunagari?
Yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay, good. So Tirukkolur is part of that group of Divyadeshams. And as you all said, one of the significance, one of the aspects of significance of Tirukkolur is that it was the birthplace also of Madhurakavi Alvar. Okay, so someone also said, what is the name of the Perumal of Tirukkolur? Someone already said that, but let's hear it again.
Vaitamanidhi Perumal.
Excellent, Vaitamanidhi. Okay, in Sanskrit that name translates to Nikshepa Vittan. Vaitamanidhi means somewhere, like if you have a lot of something very, very precious, and you go to the locker in the bank and keep it, right? So that locker in the bank is the place where you keep your nidhi, you keep your wealth, or you keep your precious items. So the name of this Perumal means that he is like that locker. He is where we keep our nidhi. He is the repository of everything that is precious to us. Okay, so when we think of that Perumal, we should think of him as something who is the most precious person to us. and that is this temple. And as we said, Tirukkolur has a unique significance also because it has a connection with Nammalvar and also with Madurai Alvar. You've already said it was the birthplace of Madurai Alvar, and I think the words that Nammalvar uses in describing this Perumal, thinking about this Perumal, are really, really unique. Okay, and it's unique not just because of the way Nammalvar has spoken about the Tirukkolur, but also it has a very nice, unique connection with the story today, with Tirukkolur Penpilla Rahasyam. Okay, so Nammalvar has sung several verses about Tirukkolur. This is the first of those verses where he says, "Unnum shoru, parugum neer, thinnum vettilayum, ellam kannan." Okay. Now, of course, during every week when we go through these stories, when we talk about several aspects of our sampradayam, the objective is to learn many dimensions of our sampradayam. One message that I want to leave you all with is that we should try, whenever we have the chance, whenever we have the energy, whenever our parents tell us, we should go and learn the original words that Alvar said. So we should spend our time to learn the Tiruvayamazhi. We should spend our time to learn the early chants, because over a period of time, as you learn the words, then you will start thinking about the meaning. When the words and the meaning become clear to you, you will start to really enjoy the inner meaning of our sampradayam. Okay, so what Alvar says here, and Alvar, and this is also something that's worth knowing, that Alvar, when he writes the Tiruvayamazhi, when Nammalvar writes the verses of the Tiruvayamazhi, he takes on several roles. Okay, one of the roles that he takes on is when he's speaking as himself. He's speaking as Nammalvar. Okay, he's speaking as Karimaran. That is one role. The other role is that Nammalvar has so much love for Perumal. He has so much affection for Perumal that he thinks of himself as a lady who is in love with Perumal. Okay, so he converts himself to the form of a heroine in a story, and the hero of that story is Perumal. The heroine loves the hero, and she's pining for him. Okay, so that is one of the roles that Alvar takes, and that form of taking that role and thinking about Perumal with so much love, that role is called Nayika Bhavam. Okay, what is it called? Nayika Bhavam. Nayika means a heroine of a story, someone who is in love with the hero, and the only hero, the greatest hero, is Perumal himself, right? So Alvar takes on the role of Nayika Bhavam. So not just Nammalvar, Tirubungi Alvar has done that, Swami Deshikan has done that. Lot of Alvars and Acharyas, when their love for Perumal exceeds the limits, they think of themselves as a lady who cannot but have the love of Perumal. Okay, so that is one role. The third role that Nammalvar takes in the Tiruvayamazhi is the role of the mother of this heroine. Okay, so first role is as himself, the second role is as a heroine, and the third role is as the mother of the heroine. Okay, so this verse is spoken in the tone of the mother of the heroine, where mother talks about how much love her daughter has for Perumal, and through that Nammalvar gives us a lot of important messages. Okay, the reason I bring up the role of the heroine and the mother is that today's story is about something that a lady talked about, right? One of the wise ladies of Tirukkolur. Okay, and something that our sampradayam comes back to time and again, that to be a devotee of Perumal, to be a great devotee of Perumal, to be somebody that we look up to, it doesn't necessarily mean that all the people we look up to are only men, right? We look up to people who are men as well as women, and even the men who we look up to, they think of themselves as women. Okay, because the crux of all our scriptures is that Perumal is the only man. All of the whole world, everybody around him are like women who are in love with him. So the role that Alvar takes here is that of the mother, and she says that for her daughter, Perumal, the Perumal of Tirukkolur is Unnum Shor, Parugum Neer, Thinnum Vettilai. Okay, so he says that for everything that her daughter needs, she goes back only to Perumal. Okay, so suppose we go for 10 days without drinking water. we can't survive, right? So water is something that is required for our survival, right? So for Nammalvar, or for this lady who's in the, or Nammalvar who's in the form of this lady, the water of sustenance is Perumal. We can go maybe for 3 days without water. We can go for 10 days without food, right? But after 10 days, we cannot survive without food. So the food that she eats is also Perumal. So that is something that sustains us is Perumal. Something that makes sure that we get nourished, that is also Perumal. Thinnum vettile. That even when you're not hungry, when you're not thirsty, we're going to have Deepavali next week. We're going to have a lot of bhakshanams, right? We can survive without water. We cannot survive without water, rather. We cannot survive without food. But we can survive without Deepavali bhakshanam, right? Maybe some of us think that we cannot survive without Deepavali bhakshanam, but in reality, we can survive without Deepavali bhakshanam. But for Alvar, Perumal is like water, Perumal is like food, and Perumal is like Deepavali bhakshanam. So Deepavali bhakshanam is something that you enjoy when you're not hungry or thirsty, right? So even when you're not hungry or thirsty, at every stage of interacting with Perumal, Alvar enjoys only him. He does not enjoy anything else. Okay. So Alvar says that if you go to the Perumal of Tirukkolur, if you see the Perumal of Tirukkolur, you will feel like, I don't want water, I have the Perumal of Tirukkolur. I don't want food, I have the Perumal of Tirukkolur. I don't want Deepavali bhakshanam, I have the Perumal of Tirukkolur. That is how people think. And at the end of this verse, he says, Havanur Vinavi Thinnam yen Idaman Puhumur Tirukkolur. So this mother of the heroine, she says that my daughter always wants to keep going into Tirukkolur. She lives in Alvar Tirunagari, but she wants to keep going into Tirukkolur because she wants to enjoy this Perumal. Okay? So this is the backdrop. This is what Tirukkolur is about. This is what Nammalvar said about Tirukkolur. And now we fast forward to when our story happened. The story of this piece of literature called the Tirukkolur Penpilla Rahasyam. So what happened was, Swami Bhashyakara Ramanujar was going from Dividesham to Dividesham to have darshan of various Perumals. One day he went to Alvar Tirunagari, had a divine darshan of Nammalvar, and from Alvar Tirunagari, he was walking to Tirukkolur. In those days, the only mode of transportation was to walk, right? So he was walking to Tirukkolur. As he was walking into Tirukkolur, he was remembering this verse that we just talked about. How Alvar says he loves the Perumal of Tirukkolur. He cannot have anything but the Perumal of Tirukkolur, and for that reason, he keeps going into Tirukkolur all the time. So he had this mental image of Nammalvar as a heroine, Nammalvar as a Nayaki, right? In the Nayika Bhav. And this lady was going into Tirukkolur all the time. But to his surprise, when he was walking into the town of Tirukkolur, he found a lady walking out. She was not just walking out, she was walking out lock, stock and barrel, all her belongings. She had packed it all up in a few bags. She was holding that bag and walking out of Tirukkolur. So imagine what must have been going through the mind of Swami Bhashyakara of Sri Ramanuja. He was thinking about this mental image of Parankusha Nayaki or Nammalvar in a woman form going into Tirukkolur, but what he sees is the opposite of that. Somebody is coming out of Tirukkolur. So he was quite puzzled. He went to that lady and said, I expected people to never leave Tirukkolur. Nammalvar has said that Perumal is like, if you see that Perumal, you don't need water, you don't need food. Because you could say, right, when somebody goes from one city to another, you could say, okay, maybe they need to go there because they're not getting enough food here. They need to go for their livelihood. They need to go for employment or whatever. Alvar says there is no need for any of that. If you go to Tirukkolur, you just stay in Tirukkolur. So he reached out to that lady and said, oh lady, why are you doing this? Why are you coming out of Tirukkolur? If you were like what Alvar said, you would be in Tirukkolur. So that lady was, as we said in the beginning, right? That lady was a very, very wise lady. The wise lady of Tirukkolur, she said, Swami, I really understand what your question is. It's not like I'm ignorant. It's not like I'm going away because I don't like Perumal. But just think about what Nammalvar said. Nammalvar said, for me, or rather for that Parankusha Nayaki or Nammalvar in that woman form, for a person like Nammalvar, Tirukkolur is very, very enjoyable. The Perumal of Tirukkolur is enjoyable. They don't want anything other than that Perumal. But she says, I am not like Nammalvar. I'm a very normal person. So what Nammalvar says may or may not be applicable to everybody. For somebody as great as Nammalvar, Tirukkolur is the place to be. Or in other words, she was saying, for somebody to be in Tirukkolur, that itself requires some qualifications, right? If you want to love Tirukkolur and be in Tirukkolur and want to be in Tirukkolur, then you have to be as great as Nammalvar. She said, I'm not great like Nammalvar. So Ramanuja said, what do you mean? What do you mean when you say you are not great like Nammalvar? Why are you saying this? And then in reply to that, this lady of Tirukkolur, the Tirukkolur Pen Pillai, she said 81 things. Okay, that is what is called this Tirukkolur Ammal Varthaigal or Tirukkolur Pen Pillai Rahasyam. Okay, so she made 81 statements. These 81 statements are all rhetorical statements. She's like, you know what? Am I great? Do you think I'm great? I'm not great at all. Do you think I'm great like Nammalvar? Do you think I'm great like all the people who lived in Tirukkolur or people who had bhakti for Perumal? I'm not like any of those people. That is why I'm leaving Tirukkolur. Okay, so it's a little bit of a, maybe to you it may seem like a bit of a contrived conversation, because it is somebody saying, okay, I don't want to be in Tirukkolur because of this, but actually they're saying Tirukkolur is great, Perumal is great, all the followers of Perumal are great, but all of these 81 statements that this lady Tirukkolur Pen Pillai said to Swami Ramanujar, the inner meaning of each of those statements is that people who have devotion to Perumal, the bhaktas of Perumal, devotees of Perumal, they are all extremely great. There is nobody greater than these devotees of Perumal. When we compare ourselves with any of these devotees, when you compare ourselves with any of these great people, we cannot but come to the conclusion that we are not as great as them. Okay, so the inner meaning of this, that the words that Tirukkolur Ammal said to Ramanujar, is that we have to have an extreme amount of reverence for all of these people who went before us. Okay, so that is the context of the story. Okay, and this is how that this piece of literature came about. Now, let me pause there for a second to see if you're all with me. You have any questions? Do you understand where we are? Yes, all good. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, perfect. All right. So of course, there are 81 things that Tirukkolur Ammal said. Right. We are not going to go over all of these things today, but each of these 81 statements, each one of these statements has a story behind it. Okay, so we can go on and on going through these stories and understand the context of those stories and understand and how the connection with this devotion to Perumal and all of these things comes about. But today we will take only just one or I plan to take 4 of those statements. Let us see how much time we have and how we can cover these 4 statements. The 4 things or the 4 stories I want to cover from the Tirukkolur Pen Pillai Rahasyam today, they all have a common feature. Okay, the common feature, because there are a whole bunch of stories here, some from the stories from the Purana, stories about our Acharyas, stories from Srimad Ramayanam, all of those stories are there, but there is one common theme that I want to pick up in the stories that we will look at today. Okay, and all of these 4 stories that we talk about will be about women who have been great bhaktas, who have taught us something very important about our sampradayam. Okay, so even the author of this piece of literature was a lady, but we're going to talk about other ladies who have given us some important messages to ponder about. Okay, all right. So the first of these stories was the episode of the Rishi Patnis. Okay, the words that Tirukkolur Ammal said to Swami Ramanujar was "Dehattai vitteno Rishi Patniyai pole," which means, she says, the way the whole book is written is to say, am I great like so and so? Because they did that, I did not do anything that this person did. That's the way it is structured, right? So in this case, she is saying, am I great like the Rishi Patnis or the wives of the rishis who lived in the time of Krishna? They were ready to give up their lives for Perumal. I did not do any of that. How can I live in Tirukkolur? I don't have the qualification to live in Tirukkolur. So that's what she's saying about these Rishi Patnis. Okay, So this is the story of the episode of how Krishna interacted with some Rishi Patnis and how these Rishi Patnis showered him with affection. Okay, how many of you have heard this story already? I'm sure you've heard about
I have heard the story many times.
You've heard the story many times. Okay, Simon, do you want to tell us what the story is?
Yes.
Sure, go on.
Like one day Krishna was playing and there were these rishis doing a yagnam for Krishna. And then Krishna came with his friends and asked for some food. And the rishis didn't know that was Krishna. So they had sticks and they like kind of they like told him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't give him anything.
Good.
And then Krishna's friend said, we didn't get anything from these rishis, nothing to eat. So then Krishna said, let's go to the rishis' patnis. So Krishna went to the rishis' patnis and or wives, and the rishis' wives gave him a lot of food and a lot of kaingaryam. And
Okay.
and for him and his friends. And then the moral of the story is that more than your yagyams and all that, you have to have true bhakti to know who Perumal really is and to enjoy Perumal.
Okay, we'll talk about the moral of the story in a minute, but the story was very good. Shriman, excellent for excellent description of the story. So let's just, Sriman has already told us what it is. I don't think I can do a better job than Sriman for sure, but I'll give you a few additional details. Okay. So what happened was Krishna was always playing games, right? What he did was when usually what they used to do was when they left they were small boys, bunch of cowherds, right? They used to go into the forest to graze the cows. So the daily practice was when they leave with the cows, the mothers would give them a lunchbox saying, here is the food, go graze the cows, eat your food and come back. One day Krishna said, this is so boring. I don't want to take lunch from home every day. It's so boring. He told all his friends, all the boys, there's no need to take lunch today. You just come empty-handed, tell your moms that we don't want lunch. I'll arrange for lunch. So these boys all believed Krishna, that is okay. Believe Krishna is saying, okay, I'll arrange for your lunch. So they came empty-handed, right? So there was no lunch money. They just came, they were gone in the forest. So they were, it was getting to be the afternoon and they were starting to get hungry. Krishna himself was starting to get hungry. So this was all Krishna's plan, right? So he went and said, okay, you know what, guys, let's all go to the inside of the forest. There are all these rishis who are sitting together, doing a great big yajnam. Whenever there is a yajnam, there is a lot of prasadam that is made to be offered in the yajnam, right? So go and ask them. Okay, go and ask them that we've made all this prasadam. Krishna is here. He's very hungry. Can you give us the food? So these boys went. They went and asked the rishis, and they said, rishis, please. Can you give us food because we are hungry? Krishna is here. He is hungry. He would like to, all of this prasadam you have made. Why don't you, give him that food? The rishi said, look, okay, Krishna may have come, but food has been made for the yajna. So we cannot, part with that food. The food is for the yajna. I don't know. Krishna has come. Okay, some bunch of cowherds, you people are here. We can't come and give you all the food before it is offered at the yajna. We have to first offer it to the yajna. No, go away. So they basically drove them out, and these boys came back crying to Krishna, saying, "Look, boss, we believed you when you said don't get lunch. It's getting to be afternoon. We are getting very hungry. We went and told the rishis that you are asking for the food. They said, no way, you have to go. So what do we do now?" So Krishna said, you know what? Don't worry about it. Forget about the rishis. If you go behind the place where they are doing the yajnam, the rishis' wives are all sitting in one place. They're sitting there cooking, talking to each other. They have been making all the prasadam that these rishis are going to use in the yajnam. So you go ask them. So these boys all again went to the rishi patnis, and said, Krishna is here. They said exactly the same thing. Okay, the boys said, these boys said exactly the same thing to the rishis and exactly the same thing to the rishi patnis, that Krishna is here. The way the rishis heard it was that a bunch of cowherds are here, right? So if some strangers come and say, okay, when we're making prasadam for Perumal, some strangers come and say, give us the prasadam, even we would say no, right? But the rishi patnis heard it the right way. When the same thing was told to them in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shuka Brahma uses very beautiful words to describe this episode. The boys went and said that Krishna and cowherds have come. But Shuka Brahma says these Rishi Patnis heard it as Shrutva Achyutam Upayatam Nityam Tad Darshanotsukaha. They have been hearing, these Rishi Patnis have heard about the exploits of Krishna. They have heard about how he killed Putana, how he did so many things. He has been doing amazing things. They have been convinced that this boy is not just a cowherd, that he is Emperuman, he's Perumal himself. So when the boys said the cowherd Krishna is here, they heard it as Achyutam Upayatam. They heard it as God himself is here to see us. So immediately, and they have been waiting. They've heard about so many stories of Krishna. They have been waiting to see him, right? So Nityam Tad Darshanotsukaha. They have been eager to see Krishna. So they took all of these things, ran out with plates and plates of the bhakshanams and all the prasadams. They went to Krishna and said, Krishna, these boys said it's late in the afternoon and you're hungry. We want to make sure you eat. And they gave him all the food. Okay, so the rishis did not recognize who it was. The Rishi Patnis recognized who it was and gave all the food to Perumal. Now Thirukkolur Pen Pillai picks up the story and says, did I do anything like the Rishi Patnis? Did I recognize Perumal? Did I recognize that some stranger comes and rings the bell and knocks on the door? Most of us, at least I can say for myself, when I open the door, if Perumal has come, I don't think I have the knowledge to recognize that it could be Perumal. But the Rishi Patnis had that knowledge. Thirukkolur Pen Pillai is saying that knowledge is so unique. That is what made them great, right? So when they went, so when the Rishi Patnis served Perumal and gave him the food, and Perumal asked, you know, you have come here, your husbands, we went and asked them, they did not give us the food that we asked for. They said no to us, but you're giving it to us. Aren't you scared that your husband will scold you? They said, no, we are not scared at all. We know we are doing the right thing. We know we have the gumption to say, okay, Perumal came. Perumal is the one who we are serving. Don't worry, for the yajnam, we don't need to compromise on the yajnam either. That's why I was saying when Sriman was telling us what the moral of the story is, the moral of the story is not that we should give up the yajnam. The moral of the story is that when Perumal is coming in, then if you have the right kind of bhakti, you will be able to recognize when Perumal is coming and asking you for something. You give it to Perumal, then you can make new food for the yajnam, because the yajnam has to be done in the right way, right? So we cannot give up on the yajnam either. So when we are doing Sandhya Vandanam and then Perumal comes, so let's say take an example, right? We are busy doing Sandhya Vandanam, and let's say we are in Thirukkolur, we are staying there for the day, we are doing Sandhya Vandanam, and Perumal comes in a procession. What are we supposed to do? Should we say, okay, Perumal has come, I'll go see Perumal, let me give up Sandhya Vandanam? We cannot do that.
Sandhya Vandanam and then go to Perumal.
We either do that or we pause the Sandhya Vandanam, go see Perumal, come back and continue our Sandhya Vandanam. Okay, so that is also something that one can do. Sorry, 1 second. Are you able to see my screen now again? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's something.
Yes, I can see the screen.
Perfect. Thank you. So Thirukkolur Pen Pillai says that you need to have a clarity of thought, clarity of knowledge, and deep devotion to Perumal to be able to recognize that and do it. Okay. Now, Andal, the story is a very deep and moving story, right? Because even the way Shuka Brahman writes it, as I told you a few seconds ago, just the word cowherds have come rang in their ears as the Lord himself has come. Somebody who has come to protect us is here, right? Andal talks about that story. Andal talks about that story in the context of the Rishi Patnis feeding Perumal, and she says, Andal is also deeply in love with Perumal, right? And she pleads with everybody around her, saying, "Take me to Perumal, take me to Perumal." And in that context, she says, "Take me to that Perumal, take me to that scene where the Rishi Patnis fed Perumal with love." And in the Nachiyar Tirumozhi, she talks about that in this verse. Then the second half of this verse is an extremely moving set of words to read. She says, "Verthu pasittu vairasindu vendadishil unnum podu." Perumal came in the middle of the afternoon. It was so hot. They were sweaty. These boys were hungry. He had told all his hundreds of friends that he will get them food. So they were hungry. They were sweaty. They were tired. And at that time, these Rishi Patnis came to them and gave them all the prasad. And even in that time when Perumal was hungry, he wanted to bless the Rishi Patnis. He didn't just gobble up all the food. He said, "Okay, you made laddu. Can you give me one of those laddus? You made jangri. Can I get one of those jangris?" He gave them the feeling that they were being appreciated. So Andal says that scene where the Rishi Patnis were feeding Perumal, the scene where Rishi Patnis were getting Perumal's unfettered, unhindered attention and affection, please take me there. I want to be there, right? And that is the same emotion that Thirukkolur Pen Pillai is telling us about. Okay, so the moral of the story here is we need to have a deep affection, deep devotion to Perumal for us to be able to recognize that he is here to protect us. Okay, otherwise we will just think of him as some cowherd who is grazing cows around us, right? So that's the difference, right? Okay, so the next point that we'll talk about in what Thirukkolur Pen Pillai said was about, she says, "Dashamukane Chetreno Pirati Pole." This is the episode of Sita and Ravana. Okay, she goes to so this was from the story of Krishna. She talks about another story from the tale of Rama. But again, the prominent role that is played in the story is that of a lady. In this case, it is Tayar herself. The story of how Sita dealt with Ravana. Okay, so we all know that when Ravana abducted Sita, he kept her in the Ashokavanika. She was sitting all alone, thinking of Perumal. The only people who were sent to keep her company were also people who were tormenting her. And there were loads of Rakshasis who used to surround Sita and constantly torture her, saying, "You know what? You have to go. You have to agree to what Ravana is asking you to do. There is no option but for you to do that." They would constantly say, "You know what? Rama is not going to come. He doesn't even know where you are. He's just a man. Ravana is the king of the Rakshasas. He will be a good guy for you." Constantly, they were tormenting her. Along with that, Ravana also used to torment her. From every now and then, Ravana used to come and say, "You're foolish. You have to forget about Rama. You have to come and marry me." Right? So think about if there was just a normal person, a very strong, powerful king who has all these people who are tormenting him. He is coming every day and saying, "You have to listen to me. You have to listen to me. If you don't listen to me, I will kill you. If you don't listen to me, you will have a lot of trouble." All of these things is what she's constantly hearing, right? But Sita did not waver. Sita did not get affected by all this, right? So what Thirukkolur Pen Pillai is saying is that even if somebody were to come throughout the day, every day and night, they would come to you and say, "Don't listen to Perumal. Don't go to Perumal. Perumal is not going to save you. I'm the one who's going to save you. I'm the one who is going to be your source of happiness and everything." If someone says that, we will start wavering, right? We'll start thinking, "Oh, maybe this guy is right." But Sita had the resolve to say, "I do not change my mind. Perumal will be there to protect him, to protect me." Okay, so what Sita did was, and this is very important for us to learn from what Tayar did. Okay, what Tayar did was, first what she tried was to say, "Look, these are the verses from the Srimad Ramayana." Again, as I said before, the beauty of understanding these stories is in learning the original text themselves. Okay, so whenever you have the chance, just maybe one verse a week, one verse a month, ask your parents and learn the verses of Srimad Ramayana as well. And as you grow up, you will see that there is nothing sweeter than Srimad Ramayana. The words of Valmiki, the valor of Rama, the way all of these people have lived and interacted in the time of Srimad Ramayana. As we understand these words, we will start appreciating, and it will start to grow on us. And that's the reason I'm putting up all these words, not to go into all the details today. We're not going to have the time for all that. But just remember that as much as learning the stories, learn the original text, we will start appreciating and enjoying the sweetness of it. So first, what Sita says is, what she tries to do is to advise Rama. She says, become a friend of Rama. She doesn't even say go and fall at Rama's feet. She knows that Ravana is someone who has his own ego, right? So if you right at the beginning, if you say go and fall at Rama's feet, he will get even more angry. So she says, go make amends, make peace with Rama. Go to Rama. He will take you as a friend. If he takes you as a friend, then you will not have to suffer what you're about to suffer. Coming and tormenting me is not your way to succeed. Your way to succeed is go and make friends with Rama. So Mitram, the word, this shloka starts with the word Mitram. It says Mitram. Mitram means what? In Sanskrit, Mitram means friend.
Friend.
Excellent, very good. So it says go and make friendship with Rama. Okay, Ravana does not listen. Okay, now Sita is faced with two options. Sita is Periyabhrati Tayar herself, right? If she wanted, she could have killed Ravana then and there. She could have burnt Ravana down. She could have completely vanquished Ravana herself and gone back to Rama, right? But she did not do that, right? And therein lies the message that Sita gives to us, and the message that Thirukkolur Pen Pillai gives us through the story of Sita. Okay, so she says. So somebody asked her, look, why can you not just kill Ravana? Can you not? You have the power to just burn him down. You have the power to kill him. Why don't you just do that? She says that after you have done Sharanagati at the feet of Perumal. So Sita is she's playing the role of somebody who has done Sharanagati at the feet of Perumal, right? So she says, somebody who has done Sharanagati, after doing Sharanagati, what you need to do is remember that Sharanagati by itself will protect you. After doing Sharanagati, you shouldn't sit and wonder, okay, should I do something more to protect myself? So let us say we have done Sharanagati to do at the feet of Perumal to get moksham. After we do the Sharanagati, we shouldn't think about, okay, to go to moksham, why can I not do something else that the Vedas say? Why can I not do something else that the Bhagavad Gita says? All those things are not necessary. Once we have reached the feet of Perumal, Perumal himself will protect me. I don't need to do anything more. So she says, I have the power to kill Ravana. In our case, after we do Sharanagati, if you want to say, okay, find another way to go to moksham, we don't have another way. But Sita had another way to kill Ravana. She had the power to kill Ravana. But she said, I have done Sharanagati at the feet of Perumal. Perumal will protect me. She had the resolve to push back and say, Asandeshattu Ramasya tapasascha anupalanat natvam kurmi dashagriva bhasma bhasmarha tejasa. I have the tejas, I have the power to turn you into ashes in a second, but I will not do it. I want Rama to come and do it. That is the way someone who has done Sharanagati should behave. So that is the main message that Sita gave us. So in the interest of time, I'll jump over the other thing, but I'll just say a word about this. Sita's resolve is also, and Thirukkolur Pen Pillai also hints at this. Hanuman came, right, to give a message from Rama to Sita, right? When he came and gave the message, he brought Rama's ring and he said, look, I'm Rama's messenger. But what he also said in the beginning was, you're so sad, you're so depressed, you're sitting here thinking of Rama all the time. Why don't you jump on my shoulders? I will take you back to Rama. Don't worry about it. Right? Sita said, that is not what I will do. She said that Yadi Ramo Dashagrivam iha hatva sarakshasam mamito grihya gaccheta taptasya sadrisham bhavet. Rama has to come and protect me. Right? Otherwise, the world will say that Ravana showed me a deer, a golden deer, and took me away. And Rama showed me a monkey and took me back, right? That's not something. Ravana can do devious things like showing people a strange deer and then abducting me. But Rama does not do that. I will wait for Rama to come and protect me, right? So after doing Sharanagati, we should not seek anybody else's help, or we should not do more things to protect ourselves. So that is the message that Sita gave us, right? So the core moral of the story is that we should have Mahavishwasam. Mahavishwasam is what? Mahavishwasam is a deep conviction, deep faith, an unshakable resolve that Perumal will protect us. Okay. So Thirukkolur Penpillai said, did I have an unshakable resolve like her? I don't have the qualification to be in Thirukkolur. I'm not like Sita. I'm not as great as Sita. So that is one of the things that Thirukkolur Penpillai said to Sri Ramanujan. Okay. So the first story we saw was that of
Rishi Patnis.
Rishi Patnis. Good. First story was Rishi Patnis. Second story was that of Sita. Both giving us different dimensions of devotion and the qualification to be devotees of Perumal. So I think you do get a little bit of a sense of what this book is about, right? So there are loads of stories of this kind telling us about how to be good with Perumal, how to lead our lives. Okay. All right. So in the interest of time, I'll just sort of talk very briefly about the next story. The next story was the episode of Ahalya. You all know about the story, right? I don't think anything of this would be news to you. She says, she says, Thirukkolur Ammal says, am I great like Ahalya? What is the unique thing about Ahalya? We know that Ahalya had a curse. She was turned into a stone, and so she was turned into a stone, right? But what makes her unique?
Perumal's Tiruvadi touched her.
Exactly. So she had a curse, but she got liberated from that curse by none other than Perumal himself. Perumal. So she was a stone, right? And when that stone was waiting for so many years for Perumal to come and deliver her. And Perumal's feet touched her, and then she was delivered from her curse and then went back to Gautama Maharshi, right? So her uniqueness was that she was waiting for ages and ages and ages, saying, Perumal is the only one who can protect me. She was patiently waiting. Perumal would protect me. And Perumal protected her in such an amazing way. Perumal protected her because all of us, the thing that we yearn for is Perumal's feet, right? Because Perumal's feet is the source of everything that we get. Ahalya got the touch of Perumal's feet. That the stone was touched by Perumal's feet and it was turned into a woman, and that was Ahalya, and she got delivered from her curse. So the uniqueness of Ahalya is that she waited patiently, and ultimately at the end of her wait, Perumal's feet came in contact with her. Okay, so that is one thing that Thirukkolur Penpillai said. So that's another great lady who got deliverance through Perumal, and who was supposed to be one of the greatest women in literature. Okay, so we have before we go to the next story, we have a little quiz. The question is on the screen, right? Which Alvar asked Perumal for the boot?
Kulasekara Alvar. Kulasekara Alvar.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so that was an easy one, right? So
He said Padiyai Kidandu un Pavalavai Kanvene.
Excellent. So who was that? Who said that?
Me, Aparajitan. Aparajitan, I said Padiyai Kidandu un Pavalavai Kanvene.
Awesome, Aparajitan. Very, very good. Okay, so now that you have said this, I have to ask the next question. Okay, so just remember what Aparajitan has said. Padiyai Kidandu un Pavalavai Kanvene, right? Okay. So why are we talking about this story in the context of Ahalya? We just talked about Ahalya, right? What's the connection with Ahalya? Can anybody guess what's the connection with Ahalya?
Because Ahalya actually turned into a stone and was actually touched by Perumal's feet, but Kulasekara Alvar just dreamed of that, like wanted to be that.
Okay, good. That's good, but you need to tell me a little bit more. Okay, the connection with Ahalya is very interesting, and this is something that the 45th Srimad Hari Singer used to mention a lot of times. Okay, this connection with that Alvar said, Padiyai Kidandu un Pavalavai Kanbene, and Ahalya is there, right? So you guys sort of hinted at that, but the detail is in the way Alvar mentions in his Pasuram, right? The last line is what Aparajitan just said. Padiyai kidandu un pavalavai kanbene. Padiyai kidandu means I want to be a stone, I want to be the stepping stone in the door. But Alvar doesn't say Padiyai kidandu un thiruvadi kanbene. He doesn't say Padiyai kidandu, I want to be a stone and I want your feet. Right? But Alvar says, I want to be a stone, and he says, I want pavalavai. Pavalavai means what? I want your lips. That I want to get your love, is what Alvar said. Right? Remember what I said about Nammalvar at the beginning. Lot of Alvars, when their love goes beyond a level, they think of them as women and they want Perumal's love. Right? So Alvar says, if I cannot become a woman. Right? Alvar is a man. Kulasekara Alvar is the king, he was a man. He was thinking, what is the way for me to become a woman? And Srimad Ayashinger used to very beautifully bring this out. That the way for me to become a woman is, okay, let me think about what happened to Ahalya. If I become a stone, and when Perumal goes in and out of the door, his feet touch me, then I will be turned into a woman and I will get his love. That's what he means when he says, Padiyai kidandu un pavalavai kanbene. Okay, so Alvar has the Ahalya story in mind when he says he wants to be a stone at his feet, and he wants to be a stone at his feet because he wants Perumal's love. Okay, so just like Rama touched the stone and turned that stone into a woman, he says if I turn into a stone, maybe one day he will touch me and turn into a woman. Right? Do you get that? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Good job. All right. So we don't have that much time. Let's just go through the last story. The last one is Avan Deivam Endreno Mandodariyai Pole. This is another great lady. Sorry, that byline is not correct. It's the story of Mandodari. It's not the story of Sita and Ravana. That's my mistake. But it talks about Mandodari, who said to Perumal that he is the greatest god. Okay. And what is the context of Mandodari saying that he's the greatest god? The context was the battle between Rama and Ravana. The battle between Rama and Ravana was inevitable, right? Because like I said before, Sita kept giving Rama advice, but she kept giving Ravana advice, but Ravana was not willing to take that advice. So the battle was inevitable. Rama came with the Vanara army. He crossed the ocean, he built the bridge, and the battle ensued. Vibhishana, by that time, he had crossed over to Rama's side, and predictably, Rama killed Ravana. Okay, Ravana's life had ended, and Ravana was a great man in his own way, but he did not have the right. He did a lot of wrong things, and therefore he had to be killed. So when he was killed, obviously, his wife was very sad, right? So his wife came to the battleground and she saw her dead husband. She knew that this was inevitable. She had already been giving, on her own side, Mandodari had been giving Ravana advice that, look, what you're doing is wrong. Okay? But even so, when her husband goes to a battle, he is going to battle with Rama, who was her husband's enemy, right? So if she was an average person, if she was an average lady, she would have said, okay, my husband's enemy is my enemy. This guy has not only just been my husband's enemy, he has gone to the extent of killing my husband. So the average person would have been extremely angry with Rama. She sees her husband dead on the battleground. She sees Rama in front of her, the person who has killed her husband. But she does, so her reaction, the reaction we would expect is that she starts yelling at Rama, right? How dare you kill my husband? My husband is a great man. You could have told him, you could have given him advice. You did not do this. All these things she could have said, but she did not. What she did was, she came to the battlefield and started praising Rama. She started praising Rama because she was overcome by Rama's greatness. There is no doubt that she would have come there wanting to lament her husband. Wanting to be angry about, oh my God, my husband has been killed. Who's this guy who has killed my husband? But she was enlightened enough, or she was open enough to Perumal's greatness, that when she saw him, she could not do anything other than praise him. Right? So she praised him with these 4 verses. Like, I'm not going to go into these 4 verses, but in the Ramayana, these 4 verses are supposed to be extremely beautiful because, and that is what Tirukolu Rammal is talking about, Avan Devam. She says, she starts with the word Vyaktamesha Mahayogi. This guy who has killed my husband, it's not like he's any average person. My husband is a great, valorous, strong, very courageous king. If somebody was to kill my husband, he must be God himself. So she and Rama, remember, unlike Krishna, Rama throughout his life, he tried constantly telling people, look, I'm not God. I'm just one of you. I'm not God. I'm a human being. That's what he constantly kept saying. But Mandodari was one person who recognized immediately that this guy is Perumal himself, that he is not any average prince. He's not a prince who has just come from somewhere in Ayodhya and who's roaming the forest because his father asked him to do it. This is Perumal himself. So she started with the word Vyaktamesha Mahayogi. He must be Perumal himself. And that is what Tirukolu Rammal talks about. She says, Avan Devam, that he is God. He is not any average person. And these four shlokas are supposed to be extremely, extremely sweet. They talk about the greatness of Perumal, and they talk about greatness of Perumal with a deep sense of affection. Okay, Mandodari, just imagine the scene, right? Mandodari is on the battleground. Her husband has died, so her emotions are very raw. She is very genuine. With that genuineness, she talks about Perumal, and her love for Perumal comes out, right? So Tirukolu Rammal says, despite her husband having died, someone was praising Perumal. Look at her greatness. I don't have that kind of greatness. I don't have the qualification to live in Tirukolu. Right? So that's what Tirukolu Rammal says. And there are 4 shlokas, right? So that's why this is called Mandodari's Chatushloki. Right? Who wrote the other Chatushloki, the famous Chatushloki? Who wrote the famous Chatushloki that we all know?
Swami Desikam.
Alavandar.
Oh wait, Alavandar. Sorry, Alavandar.
Alavandar wrote the Chatushloki, but this is another Chatushloki which is written by Mandodari. And again, as I said before, I don't want to keep repeating it, but go back and learn these verses. You will over a period of time, you will start to appreciate them. Okay? Mandodari's Chatushloki, again and again, we have to go back to 45th Srimad Harisingha. He used to really, really love these 4 verses because of the depth of their meaning, just like what Tirukolu Rammal has said in her Grantham. Srimad Harisingha used to constantly keep going back to it because each of those words has so much meaning. And Srimad Harisingha used to say that not just Mandodari, there was another similar scene in the Srimad Ramayana of somebody's husband being killed by Rama, and the guy is either struggling for his life or is sure to be dead. And his wife comes, and instead of yelling at Rama, they come and praise him. The other person was Tara. Whose wife was Tara?
Vali.
Bali.
Exactly.
Bali.
Exactly. Vali's wife was Tara. Of course, this happened before Ravana's being killed, right? So Rama killed Vali, and Tara comes. She's doubly angry because at least Ravana and Rama openly had a battle. Tara was so livid because Rama had killed Vali from hiding. He was hiding somewhere, and without Vali thought he was fighting with his brother Sugriva, right? But Rama was hiding from somewhere and killed her husband. So Tara was extremely angry. She was ready to kill Rama. But the moment she saw Rama, she broke into praising Rama. Those 2 shlokas also, Srimad Harisingha constantly used to talk about those 2 shlokas, which are also extremely beautiful. So to somebody who killed her husband, she comes and says, Tvam aprameyaha, Tvam durasadaha, Tvam jitendriyaha, that there is nobody who can be compared to you. There is nobody greater than you. There is nobody who has control over his senses. Your eyes are so beautiful, your hands are so beautiful. Just imagine somebody whose husband has just been killed by Rama is coming to the battlefield and describing him in these such beautiful words. Can you imagine how deep and how enlightened that person must have been? So Tara is not mentioned in the Tirukolu Rammal Vartegal, but Srimad Harisingha always used to link up the words of Mandodari and Tara because they both give us that message. Okay, so we are a couple of minutes past our time today. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to leave you with the story of Mandodari and Tara as well. In fact, these stories that we have talked about, the scriptures talk about 5 very, very important women. They are called the Panchakanyas: Ahalya, Draupadi, Sita, Tara, Mandodari. We have talked about actually today through our stories. We have talked about 4 out of those 5 Panchakanyas who are supposed to be extremely great people. And they all have something important to tell us about our devotion to Perumal. Okay, so
Excuse me. I have a connection with the story. When you know how Mandodari and Tara, how they started praising Perumal. Tara, once she saw Perumal, she started praising, and so during Mahabharatam during Krishna was trying to stop from the Kurukshetra war from happening, Duryodhana planned to make a hole in the Simhasanam that he gave to Krishna,
yes.
and so he would fall. And so they were playing, and then he also held a meeting to do nothing when Krishna comes. And so Krishna comes in the next day, and then Duryodhana the previous day said, "Don't stand up and give respects." But when Krishna came, he himself got up, and he said he was enjoying inside his heart. He was enjoying the presence of Perumal. And also this also connects back to Ramayana again, where Ravana during the war, so Ravana is about to, he's not defeated, but he gets humiliated by Rama, and he's out of energy, he's out of strength. So Rama actually takes pity, and he says, come back next day or some other day and we'll fight again. And so Ravana was thinking, he was enjoying Perumal at the presence in his heart.
Excellent. That's very, very good. Another instance when this happened was with Shurpanakha. Shurpanakha was she tried to sort of accost Rama and Lakshmana, and we all know how they punished her, right? They chopped off her nose and ears and sent her back. When she comes back to Ravana, Ravana is massively angry. She says, "Who did this to my sister?" But when to answer the question of who did it to me, she describes Rama in the most beautiful terms. That she says he had such beautiful eyes, big eyes, long arms, tall, handsome. Somebody who has been hurt by Rama, it's not easy to describe them that way, right? That's not to say that Shurpanakha had a lot of bhakti. That's why Tirukolu Rammal or even Srimad Arishingar, they don't hold up Shurpanakha as an example of somebody to follow. But that's because of Rama's own beauty. And exactly, you're right. Even Duryodhana, Shurpanakha, all these people, we cannot help being overcome by Perumal and his beauty and his greatness. Absolutely, that's a very good point. Anything else from anyone? Any other questions? Any comments? Anything else? All right, we'll probably leave it there. I'm sorry for taking some additional time more than planned. Next week we have some of you talking about some stories, so we have that to look forward to. So we're all very eager to listen to that next Saturday. Once again, thank you very much for making time to be part of this this session this Saturday afternoon. And in the meanwhile, happy Deepavali also before we meet. Should we finish with Tanians?
Actually, I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry. So will you be covering all the rest of the 77 stories in later sessions?
I'm more than happy to cover all of those stories if you guys won't get bored. Oh, yeah, sure. Next time we can pick up some more of these stories. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Should we say Acharya Tanin and finish? Sriranganath Shatakopayatindra Drishtam Lakshmi Rasamma Shatajit Karunaikapatram श्रीरङ्गवीर रघुराट् षटकोपहृद्यं वेदान्तदेशिकेतीन्द्रमहं प्रपद्ये श्रीमद्रङ्गजठारिजन्यमिवराल्लब्धागमान्तद्वयं श्रीमद्वीररघुद्वहाद्यषडजित्पादारविन्दाश्रयं श्रीमद्वेदवतं सदेशिकेतेः कारुण्यवीक्षास्पदं सेवे रङ्गधुरीण शासनवशं नारायणं योगिनं वेदान्तदेशिकेतीशकटाक्षलब्धत्रय्यन्तसारमनवद्यगुणं बुधाग्र्यं नारायणाद्ययतिधुर्यकृपाभिषिक्तं श्रीरङ्गनाथयतिशेखरमाश्रयामः श्रीमते श्रीवंशटगोपश्री वेदान्तदेशिकेतीन्द्रमहादेशिकाय नमः श्रीमते श्रीलक्ष्मीनृसिंहदिव्यपादुका सेवक श्रीवंशटगोपश्री नारायणयतीन्द्रमहादेशिकाय नमः श्रीमते श्रीवंशटगोपश्री रङ्गनाथयतीन्द्रमहादेशिकाय नमः. Thank you everyone.
Adiyan Mama.
Adiyan Dhanyosmi.
Dhanyosmi Swami.
Keshavaya Namaha.